Jake Morrison stood at attention in the main hall of the diplomatic station. His black armor covered him from head to toe. The metal plates were scratched and dented from many battles. Other soldiers might have polished out those marks, but Jake kept them. Each scratch told a story. The station floated in empty space between human and alien territory. For 10 years, humans and the Zilithians had been enemies. Not fighting exactly, but not friends either. Today might change that. Today, both sides would try to make peace. Jake watched the airlock door. Soon the alien princess would arrive. He had seen pictures of Zilithians before but never met one in person. They looked almost human, but with blue skin that seemed to glow from inside. Their hair was always silver or white, and they moved, like dancers. Captain Amy Sullivan walked up to Jake. She commanded the human ship that brought them here. "Remember, Morrison," she said quietly. "We're here to make friends, not enemies. Keep your weapon lowered unless I give the order." Jake nodded. His rifle hung across his chest, pointing down. He had checked it 3 times already. Old habits from the war never died. "Yes, Captain, I understand." The airlock hissed open. Ambassador Rick Carter stepped forward. He wore a fancy blue uniform with gold buttons. Behind him came other humans, in similar clothes. They all looked nervous. "Places everyone," Carter said. "Remember, this is history in the making." Jake took his position near the wall. From there, he could see the whole room and protect the ambassador if needed. The other human guards did the same. They all wore the same black armor as Jake, but theirs looked newer. They had not seen as much fighting. Soft music began to play. It sounded like wind chimes and ocean waves mixed together. The far airlock opened and the Zilithians entered. Jake had expected them to be impressive, but seeing them in person took his breath away. They moved without making any sound. Their clothes seemed to be made of liquid light that changed colors as they walked. At the front came their guards, tall and graceful, carrying weapons that looked like crystal spears. Then she entered. Princess Lyra Thess. Jake had studied her file many times. Age 28 in human years, though Zilithians lived much longer. Heir to the Zilithian throne, trained in diplomacy, science, and warfare. But the file had not prepared him for the real thing. She was beautiful in a way that seemed almost magical. Her skin was the color of deep ocean water, with tiny lights moving under the surface like stars. Her silver hair flowed behind her like she was underwater. She wore a dress that looked like it was made of moonlight. But it was her eyes that caught Jake's attention. They were large and silver, and they seemed to see everything at once. As she walked into the room, those eyes found Jake immediately. She stared at him for a long moment, her head tilted slightly to one side like a curious bird. Jake felt strange under her gaze. Most aliens were afraid when they saw human soldiers in full armor. The Zilithians had good reason to fear. Human Marines had a reputation across the galaxy. They were known for never giving up and never leaving anyone behind. Even when outnumbered, they somehow found a way to win. But Princess Lyra did not look afraid. She looked interested. The formal greetings began. Ambassador Carter and the Zilithian leader, an old male named High Chancellor Morthek, exchanged polite words. They talked about peace and understanding and working together for the future. Jake had heard it all before at other meetings that went nowhere. While they talked, Jake watched the room. The Zilithian guards stood perfectly still like statues. Their weapons never moved. They seemed confident that no danger could reach them. Jake envied that confidence. Human guards always watched for threats, always ready to fight. It was a hard way to live. Princess Lyra stood behind her chancellor, but Jake could see her eyes moving around the room. She studied the human technology, the furniture, even the way the humans stood. When her eyes met Jake's again, she smiled, slightly. It was not a diplomatic smile. It was real. The meeting took a break after an hour. The diplomats moved to smaller rooms to discuss details. Jake and the other guards were told to wait in the main hall. The Zilithian guards did the same. That was when Princess Lyra did something unexpected. Instead of following her people, she walked directly toward Jake. Her own guards started to follow, but she held up one hand to stop them. Jake straightened up as she approached. Up close, he could see that her skin really did glow softly from within. She was taller than he had expected, nearly matching his own height even through his armor. "You are the security chief," she said. Her voice was musical, like her people's language, but she spoke perfect English. "Yes, Your Highness, Jake Morrison." He almost saluted, but remembered that might seem threatening. She walked slowly around him, studying his armor. "Fascinating. Your protection is so different from ours. We use energy shields that bend light and force, but you wear metal plates, old-fashioned but somehow effective." Jake did not know what to say. Aliens usually wanted to talk to the ambassador, not the guards. Princess Lyra stopped in front of him again. She looked directly into his visor, though he knew she could not see his face through the dark glass. "I have studied human military records," she said. "Your people win battles they should lose. You survive situations that should kill you. Other races in the galaxy speak of human soldiers with something close to fear." She paused, still staring at him. "Do you wonder what's beneath this armor?" The question caught Jake completely off guard. He had expected many things from this meeting, but not that. Most aliens saw human armor and thought only of weapons and war. They never wondered about the person inside. Jake looked at this alien, princess who had asked him a question no one else had ever thought to ask. Around them, the diplomatic station hummed quietly. Outside, stars shone in the darkness between two worlds that had been enemies for too long. For the first time in years, Jake Morrison found himself at a loss for words. Jake stared at Princess Lyra through his helmet visor. Her question hung in the air between them. "Do you wonder what's beneath this armor?" No one had ever asked him that before. Most people saw the armor and thought they already knew everything about him. He took a deep breath. Something about her honest curiosity made him want to give an honest answer. "Scars," Jake said quietly. "Regrets. And the weight of every friend I couldn't save." Princess Lyra's silver eyes widened. She had clearly expected a different answer. Maybe something about weapons or training or human strength. Not this raw truth that came from somewhere deep inside. "That is not what I expected," she said softly. "What did you expect?" Jake asked. She thought for a moment. "Pride, perhaps. Boasting about human power. Your people have a reputation for being, what is the word? Cocky." Jake almost smiled behind his helmet. "Some of us are. But armor doesn't make you strong. It just gives you a chance to protect what matters." Before Princess Lyra could respond, one of her guards approached. He was tall even for a Zalithian, with dark blue skin and scars on his face. His crystal spear glowed with inner light. "Princess," he said in their musical language, "you should not speak alone with the human warrior." Princess Lyra answered in the same language, but her tone was firm. The guard bowed his head and stepped back, but Jake could see he was not happy. "Commander Veltar worries too much," Princess Lyra said to Jake. "He thinks humans are dangerous." "He's not wrong," Jake replied. "We can be." "But not to me," she said. It was not a question. Jake looked at her for a long moment. "No, not to you." She smiled again, that real smile he had seen before. "I would like to continue this conversation, but not here where everyone watches. Would you show me your quarters? I wish to understand more about human thoughts." Jake hesitated. Having an alien princess in his room could cause problems, but her curiosity seemed genuine, and maybe understanding each other was the first step. "Toward real peace, if you want," he said. "But I should warn you, it's not very fancy." "I do not need fancy. I need truth." Jake led her through the station corridors. His heavy boots made noise on the metal floors, but her feet made no sound at all. Other humans they passed stared in surprise at seeing their security chief walking with the alien princess. Jake ignored them. His quarters were small and simple: a bed, a desk, a chair, and a wall locker for his gear. The only personal touch was a small photo on the desk showing Jake with his old Marine unit. All of them were smiling and making silly faces for the camera. Princess Lyra looked around the room with interest. You live like a soldier even in peacetime. Oldie. Habits, Jake said. He moved to his gear locker and began removing his armor. The heavy plates came off piece by piece, revealing the man underneath. Princess Lyra watched in fascination. As each piece of armor came off, she could see more of Jake's story written on his body. His arms had long scars from knife fights. His shoulder showed where a plasma bolt had grazed him. His hands were rough from years of holding weapons and climbing over rough ground. When Jake pulled off his helmet, Princess Lyra saw his face for the first time. He was younger than she had expected, maybe 35 human years. His brown hair was cut short in military style. His eyes were green and tired, with lines around them from squinting in bright suns and smoky battlefields. A thin scar ran from his left ear to the corner of his mouth. Now you see what's beneath the armor, Jake said, sitting heavily in his chair. Without the armor, he looked smaller, more human, more real. Princess Lyra sat on his bed, her dress flowing around her like water. You are not what I expected. What did you expect? A monster, perhaps. That is what we are taught about human warriors, that you are cruel and brutal, caring only for war. She paused, studying his face. But your eyes are sad, not angry. Jake picked up the photo from his desk. This was my unit, 2nd Battalion, 8th Marines. We served together for 3 years. Were they your friends? They were my brothers. Jake's voice grew quiet. This picture was taken the day before our last mission, a rescue operation on Kepler 442b. Pirates had taken hostages at a mining station. Princess Lyra leaned forward, interested. What happened? Jake was quiet for a long moment. We saved the hostages, all of them, but half my squad didn't make it home. He pointed to faces in the photo. Tony Rodriguez, Lisa Martinez, Sam Kim, good people, better than me. You blame yourself, Princess Lyra said. It was not a question. I was their sergeant. It was my job to bring them home. Princess Lyra stood and walked to the small window that looked out at the stars. In Zilithian culture, we are taught that showing pain is weakness. Leaders must appear perfect, untouchable. But you show me your pain like it is natural. Pain reminds us why we fight, Jake said. Not for glory or conquest, for the people we love, for the ones who depend on us. Is that why you wear the armor? For them? Jake nodded. Every time I put it on, I make a promise. To the living and the dead, that I won't let anyone else get hurt if I can stop it. Princess Lyra turned from the window. Her silver eyes seemed to glow in the dim light. You say armor doesn't make you strong, but perhaps strength allows you to carry the armor. Before Jake could respond, his communication device buzzed urgently. He pressed a button, and Captain Sullivan's voice filled the room. Morrison, report to the command center immediately. We've got a situation. Jake was already reaching for his armor. What kind of situation? Pirates have attacked mining colony Gamma 7. They're holding both human and Zilithian civilians hostage. The peace talks are suspended. All diplomatic personnel are to prepare for emergency evacuation. Princess Lyra stood quickly. My people are there? How many? Captain Sullivan's voice was grim. 17 Zilithian refugees and 43 humans. The pirates are demanding ransom from both governments. Jake was putting his armor back on, moving with practice speed. Each piece locked into place with mechanical clicks. What are our orders, Captain? Joint rescue operation. The Zilithian fleet is sending ships, and so are we. You'll coordinate security for the diplomatic team during evacuation. Princess Lyra stepped forward. I want to go with the rescue force. Negative, Sullivan replied. You're too valuable to risk. Those are my people being held captive, Princess Lyra said, her musical voice turning hard as steel. I will not hide while they suffer. Jake looked at her as he sealed his helmet back on. Through his visor, she looked different now. Not just a curious princess, but a leader who cared about her people. He understood that feeling. Captain, Jake said into his communicator. Request permission to escort Princess Lyra to the command center. She might be able to help coordinate with the Zilithian forces. There was a pause. Granted. But Morrison, she's your responsibility. Jake looked at Princess Lyra. Are you sure about this? It could get dangerous. She straightened, and Jake could see the royal authority she had been trained to carry. You showed me what lies beneath your armor, Jake Morrison. Now let me show you what lies beneath mine. As they left his quarters and headed for the command center, Jake realized the peace talks had failed before they really began, but maybe in the face of real danger, humans and Zilithians could find another way to understand each other. The corridor alarms began to sound as they walked, red lights flashing in rhythm with the warning tone. Somewhere out there, innocent, people were waiting for rescue. Jake felt the familiar weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. It was time to keep his promise once again. The command center buzzed with activity. Holographic displays showed the location of mining colony Gamma 7, a small asteroid station 3 hours away at maximum speed. Red warning lights blinked across the tactical screens, showing pirate ships, surrounding the colony like hungry wolves. Jake stood beside Princess Lyra as they watched the displays. Captain Sullivan was talking quickly with the Zilithian fleet commander through a communication link. Their voices were tense, urgent. The pirates call themselves the Kresh Brotherhood, Sullivan explained to the room. They're demanding 10 million credits from each government, or they start killing hostages. On the main screen, a ugly face appeared. The pirate leader, Warlord Grixcon, had gray skin covered in scars and metal implants. His eyes were black and cold. When he spoke, his voice sounded like grinding metal. You have 6 hours, Grixcon said. Pay, or your people die, starting with the youngest. The transmission ended. The command center fell silent. Princess Lyra spoke first. We cannot pay them. It would only encourage more attacks. Ambassador Carter looked worried. But if we don't pay, innocent people will die. They'll die anyway, Jake said grimly. Pirates like this don't leave witnesses. Even if we pay, they'll kill the hostages and disappear. Captain Sullivan nodded. Morrison's right. Our only choice is a rescue operation. The Zilithian fleet. Commander appeared on another screen. Commander Zethara was an older female with pale blue skin and silver hair bound in a warrior's knot. She wore armor that seemed to be made of living crystal. The Zilithian Royal Fleet has 3 ships ready, she announced. We can be at the colony in 2 hours and 47 minutes. Our response team can match that time, Sullivan replied. But we need to coordinate our approach. Different tactics could get people killed. Jake stepped forward. Permission to join the assault team, Captain? Granted. You'll lead the human Marines. Princess Lyra moved beside Jake. I request permission to accompany the rescue force. Both commanders started to object, but she held up her hand. Those people are under my protection as future ruler of the Zilithian Empire. I will not abandon them. Commander Zethara looked thoughtful. Your presence might help calm the civilian survivors, but it is dangerous. I understand the risks, Princess Lyra replied. Jake looked at her. Your Highness, this isn't diplomacy. It's going to be a fight. She met his eyes steadily. Then teach me how your people fight. An hour later, Jake found himself in the shuttle bay, checking his gear one more time. His rifle was loaded with armor-piercing rounds. His sidearm was secure in its holster. Extra ammunition lined his belt. Everything was ready. Princess Lyra stood nearby, now wearing Zilithian combat armor. It was beautiful but practical, made of the same living crystal as her commander's gear. Energy shields shimmered around her like heat waves. She carried a weapon that looked like a sword made of pure light. Strange, she said, watching Jake check his equipment. Your gear looks so simple compared to ours, yet human soldiers have a reputation for being nearly impossible to kill. Jake tapped his chest plate. Sometimes simple works better. Energy shields can be overloaded, crystal armor can be shattered, but steel and ceramic just keep working. Corporal Tony Rodriguez approached. He was one of Jake's best Marines, a tough man from Texas with a quick grin and steady hands. Sergeant, the team's ready, 12 Marines, all veteran. Good. What's the plan? Tony activated a holographic display showing the mining colony. The Kresh have 4 ships surrounding the station. Their main vessel is docked here. He pointed to the colony's primary airlock. That's where they're holding the hostages. Defenses? Jake asked. Standard pirate setup. Energy weapons, boarding shields, maybe some automated turrets. Nothing. Our boys can't handle. Princess Lyra studied the display. The Zilithian civilians will be terrified. They are not used to violence. Jake nodded. We'll need to move fast and keep them calm. Can your people create a distraction? Our fighters are very fast, Princess Lyra said. We could draw their attention while your Marines board the station. Risky, Jake said. But it might work. The shuttle launched from the diplomatic station, followed by 2 more carrying additional Marines and equipment. Through the small windows, Jake could see the sleek Zilithian ships keeping pace with them. Their hulls seemed to bend light around them, making them hard to see clearly. During the flight, Jake sat with his Marines and went over the plan one more time. They would board the station through the maintenance airlocks while the Zilithians kept the pirates busy. Speed and surprise were their best weapons. Princess Lyra sat across from him looking calm but alert. Jake, she said quietly, what if something goes wrong? Something always goes wrong, Jake replied. That's when you find out what you're really made of. And what are you made of? Jake checked his rifle one more time. Stubborn determination and bad decisions. That got a small smile from her. I think there is more to it than that. The shuttle pilot's voice came over the intercom. Colony in sight. Pirate ships are holding position around the target. Through the window, Jake could see mining colony Gamma 7. It was a small station built into a large asteroid, with solar panels and communication arrays sticking out like metal flowers. The 4 pirate ships looked like dark beetles crawling around something they wanted to eat. Zilithian fighters are beginning their attack run, the pilot announced. They're drawing fire away from the station. Jake stood and faced his Marines. Listen up. We go in fast and hard. Priority 1 is civilian safety. Priority 2 is prisoner rescue. Priority 3 is making these pirates regret they were ever born. The Marines checked their weapons and secured their gear. They were ready. Princess Lyra stood beside Jake as the shuttle approached the maintenance airlock. Your people do this often? She asked. More often than we'd like, Jake replied. But that's what makes us good at it. The shuttle docked with a soft thump. Jake could hear the airlock cycling, equalizing pressure. In a few moments, they would be inside a hostile station with dozens of armed pirates between them and the hostages. Remember, Jake told Princess Lyra, stay behind the Marines. We'll clear each section before you move up. She nodded, but Jake could see determination in her silver eyes. She would not hide while her people were in danger. The airlock opened. Jake raised his rifle and stepped into the station corridor. The lighting was dim, emergency power only. The air smelled of oil and fear. Move, Jake whispered into his communicator. The Marines spread out, covering each other as they advanced. Their boots made soft sounds on the metal floors. Princess Lyra followed, her energy sword ready but not yet activated. They had gone maybe 50 meters when the shooting started. A pirate appeared at the end of the corridor, firing an energy weapon wildly. Jake's Marines took cover and returned fire with disciplined bursts. The pirate went down quickly, but his screams had alerted others. So much for surprise, Tony Rodriguez muttered. Jake keyed his communicator. Command, we're inside but compromised. Request immediate support. Negative, came the reply. Zilithian fighters are taking heavy fire. You're on your own for now. More pirates appeared, firing from behind makeshift barriers. The corridor filled with the sound of weapons fire and shouting voices. Jake's Marines advanced steadily, using their superior training and equipment to push forward. Princess Lyra stayed close to Jake, her energy sword now glowing bright blue. When a pirate tried to flank them through a side passage, she moved faster than Jake thought possible. Her blade cut through the pirate's weapon and armor like they were made of paper. Nice work, Jake said. I am not helpless, she replied, breathing hard. They fought their way deeper into the station. Each corridor brought more resistance, but the Marines kept moving. Jake felt the familiar focus of combat settle over him. Everything became simple. Identify threats, eliminate them, protect the team, complete the mission. Then they heard it. Children crying. The sound came from ahead beyond a heavy security door marked Storage Bay 3. Jake's blood went cold. The hostages were close, but so were their captors. "Tony, take half the team and circle around," Jake ordered. "We'll hit them from two sides." "Roger that, Sergeant." Jake looked at Princess Lyra. "This is it. Once we go through that door, everything happens fast." She nodded, her face pale but determined. "I understand." Jake placed his hand on the door controls. Beyond this barrier were innocent people who had done nothing wrong, except be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Some were human, some were Zilithian, but that didn't matter now. They were all just people who needed help. Jake took a deep breath and opened the door. The storage bay was larger than Jake had expected. Shipping containers were stacked high, creating narrow passages and dark corners. Emergency lighting cast strange shadows everywhere. In the center of the room, the hostages sat on the floor, in a tight group. Jake counted quickly. Men, women, children, some human, some Zilithian, all looking scared and tired. Several were wounded, with makeshift bandages on their arms and heads. Around them stood 8 pirates, all armed and jumpy. They kept their weapons pointed at the hostages while watching the entrances. Their leader was a tall female with red skin and metal teeth. She held an energy rifle aimed at a small Zilithian child who couldn't be more than 6 years old. "Stay back," the pirate leader screamed when she saw Jake. "One step closer and the kid dies." Jake stopped immediately, his rifle trained on her. Through his helmet communicator, he could hear Tony Rodriguez moving into position with the other Marines. They needed just a few more seconds. Princess Lyra stepped out from behind Jake. When the Zilithian hostages saw her, several began to cry, with relief. The children reached out toward her, calling her name in their musical language. "Let them go," Princess Lyra said, her voice steady and commanding. "Your fight is with our governments, not with innocent civilians." The pirate leader laughed, showing her metal teeth. "The famous Princess Grixcon will pay extra for you." "I doubt that," Jake said quietly. "Your boss is going to be too dead to pay anyone." The pirate swung her weapon toward Jake. "Big words from a—" That was when Tony and his team struck from behind. Energy bolts and projectile rounds filled the air. 3 pirates went down immediately. The others scrambled for cover behind the shipping containers. Jake dove forward, tackling the pirate leader just as she tried to shoot the Zilithian child. They hit the ground hard, rolling between the hostages. Jake's armor protected him from her claws, but she was stronger than she looked. Princess Lyra moved like liquid light, her energy sword cutting through the chaos. She reached the hostages and began herding them toward the exit, shielding the children with her own body. Her sword deflected energy bolts that came too close. "Get them out of here," Jake shouted as he wrestled with the pirate leader. She had pulled a knife and was trying to drive it between his armor plates. Lieutenant Kyle Brooks, one of Jake's youngest Marines, appeared beside him. The kid was barely 22, fresh from training, but he had steady hands and a good heart. He put his rifle barrel against the pirate's head. "Let him go," Kyle said simply. The pirate leader froze. Then she smiled and triggered a grenade on her belt. Jake saw the grenade's blinking light and had maybe 2 seconds to act. Without thinking, he grabbed Kyle and threw him toward the hostages, then rolled in the opposite direction, trying to put his armored body between the blast and the civilians. The explosion lifted Jake off the ground and slammed him into a shipping container. His armor system screamed warnings as metal fragments peppered his back and legs. The world went quiet except for a high ringing in his ears. When his vision cleared, Jake found himself lying in a pile of debris. His armor's power cell was damaged and several systems had shut down. He could taste blood in his mouth. "Sergeant!" Kyle was beside him checking his wounds. "Medic! We need a medic!" Sam Johnson appeared, a tough woman from Chicago who had been patching up Marines for 15 years. She knelt beside Jake and ran her scanner over his armor. Punctured lung, possible internal bleeding, definitely a concussion. We need to get him out of here. No, Jake said, struggling to sit up. The hostages are safe, Princess Lyra said, appearing at his side. Her armor was scorched, and her silver hair was singed, but she was unhurt. The last of the pirates in this section are dead or surrendered. Jake looked around the storage bay. The remaining pirates had thrown down their weapons. His Marines were securing the area while Sam and another medic treated the wounded hostages. Everyone was alive. Good, Jake said, then coughed up blood. Sam frowned at her scanner readings. Sergeant, your armor's medical system is keeping you stable, but barely. If we don't get you to a proper medical facility soon— How soon? Jake interrupted. An hour, maybe 2. Jake tried to stand, but his legs wouldn't support him. Kyle and another Marine had to help him up. We're not done here yet. The main pirate ship is still docked to the station. Grixicon and most of his crew are probably there with more hostages. Princess Lyra looked at him with concern. Jake, you are badly injured. Let others finish this. Can't do that, Jake said, accepting his rifle from Kyle. Several of his armor systems were offline, but the weapon still worked. These people came here looking for a safe place to work and raise their families. Pirates destroyed that. Someone has to make it right. Your people have a saying, Princess Lyra said. Live to fight another day. This would be a good time to use it. Jake shook his head. We have another saying. No one left behind. There are still people on this station who need help. Through the station's communication system, a voice echoed, through the corridors. It was Grixicon, the pirate warlord, and he sounded angry. Attention rescue teams, the metallic voice said. You have killed my people and stolen my prizes, but I still have 23 hostages aboard my ship. Any attempt to board will result in their immediate execution. Princess Lyra translated for the Zilithian hostages, then turned back to Jake. He's retreating to his ship. If we let him go, he'll just attack another colony next week. Jake finished. And the hostages he has now will disappear into the slave markets. Sam Johnson finished patching up Jake's armor as best she could. The medical systems will keep you going for maybe an hour, she said. After that, she didn't need to finish. Jake checked his weapon and ammunition. Both were running low, but it would have to do. Kyle, how many Marines do we have left? 8, counting you, Kyle replied, plus Princess Lyra and her 2 guards who joined us. Against how many pirates? Maybe 30, all aboard their ship. Jake did the math. 8 wounded Marines against 30 pirates in their own territory, with hostages in the crossfire. The smart play was to call for reinforcements and wait. But the smart play might cost innocent lives. Princess Lyra studied Jake's face. You are going to attack their ship, aren't you? It's what we do, Jake said simply. Even though you might die. Jake looked at the rescued hostages. A human woman was holding her young son, both crying with relief. An elderly Zilithian male was comforting 2 children who had lost their parents in the attack. People who had been terrified an hour ago were now safe because someone had been willing to fight for them. Your Highness, Jake said, what's the point of wearing armor if you're not willing to use it to protect people? Princess Lyra was quiet for a moment. Then she activated her energy sword. Then we go together. Your way and my way, side by side. Jake started to object, but she cut him off. You showed me what lies beneath your armor, Jake Morrison. Pain, responsibility, and determination to protect others. Now I will show you what lies beneath mine. I am not just a princess. I am a warrior, and these are my people too. Jake looked into her silver eyes and saw the same resolve that had carried him through a dozen impossible battles. She understood, now, what he had tried to explain. True strength wasn't about being invincible. It was about being willing to stand up when it mattered, even when you were scared, even when you might lose. All right, Jake said, but we do this my way, fast, brutal, and with everything we've got. Princess Lyra smiled. I would not expect anything else from a human Marine. As they prepared to move toward the pirate ship, Jake felt the familiar weight of command settle on his shoulders. People were counting on him to bring them home safely. It was a responsibility he had carried for years, through victory and defeat, through triumph and loss. He had never asked for this burden, but he had learned to carry it because someone had to. The docking tube between the mining colony and the pirate ship stretched ahead like a dark tunnel. Jake could hear his own breathing inside his damaged helmet. Each step sent pain shooting through his ribs, but the armor's medical systems kept him moving. Princess Lyra walked beside him, her energy sword glowing softly in the dim light. Behind them came the remaining Marines, their weapons ready. Everyone knew this could be a one-way trip. "Remember the plan," Jake whispered into his communicator. "Princess Lyra and I go in first. We draw their attention while Kyle's team circles around through the cargo bay. Hit them from 2 directions." "Roger that, Sergeant," Kyle replied. At the entrance to the pirate ship, Jake paused. His armor's sensors showed multiple heat signatures. Inside, at least 20 pirates plus the hostages. The ship's interior was a maze of corridors and chambers, perfect for ambushes. "Second thoughts?" Princess Lyra asked quietly. "Always," Jake admitted. "But that's never stopped me before." They stepped through the airlock into the pirate ship. The smell hit them immediately. Unwashed bodies, recycled air, and fear. This was not a military vessel with clean lines and proper maintenance. It was a predator's den, built for hunting weaker prey. The first corridor was empty, but Jake could hear voices ahead. Grixicon was shouting orders to his crew, preparing for the attack he knew was coming. The pirate warlord was cruel but not stupid. Jake and Princess Lyra moved carefully forward. The ship's gravity was lighter than the colony's, making their steps feel strange. Emergency lighting cast red shadows on the walls. Where crude decorations showed the pirates' violent history, they reached a junction where 3 corridors met. Jake signaled for Princess Lyra to take the left passage while he went right. They would meet at the main cargo hold where the hostages were being kept. As Jake moved down his corridor, his armor's power systems flickered. The damage from the grenade was getting worse. He had maybe 30 minutes before complete system failure. After that, he would be fighting in dead armor, carrying 40 pounds of useless metal. A pirate appeared around the corner ahead, carrying a heavy energy rifle. Jake shot him twice in the chest before the pirate could raise his weapon. The body fell with a soft thump. More pirates came running at the sound of gunfire. Jake took cover behind a support beam and fought them off, his rifle spitting precise bursts. Each shot had to count. His ammunition was running low. Through the ship's communication system, he could hear Princess Lyra fighting her own battle. Her energy sword hummed as it cut through weapons and armor. The Zilithians had trained her well. Jake reached the cargo hold just as Princess Lyra arrived from the other direction. The large room was filled with shipping containers and stolen goods. In the center, the hostages sat in a circle, guarded by 6 pirates, including Grixicon himself. The pirate warlord was even uglier in person than he had been on the communication screen. His gray skin was covered in scars and metal implants. When he smiled, his teeth looked like sharp metal fangs. "The famous human marine," Grixicon said, holding a weapon to a human woman's head. "And the pretty princess, too. How nice of you to come die with these worthless slaves." Jake kept his rifle trained on the warlord. "Let them go, Grixicon. Your fight is with us, not them." "My fight is with anyone I can sell," the pirate leader snarled. "These humans will bring good prices in the slave markets. The Zilithians even more." Princess Lyra stepped forward, her sword glowing brighter. "The Zilithian Empire does not negotiate with pirates. Release our people and we will give you a quick death." Grixicon laughed. Big words from a spoiled princess playing soldier. That was when Kyle Brooks and his Marines struck from behind. They had found another way into the cargo hold and caught the pirates by surprise. Energy bolts and projectile rounds filled the air. Jake dove toward the hostages, trying to shield them from the crossfire. A pirate's shot caught him in the shoulder, spinning him around. His damaged armor sparked and several more systems went offline. Princess Lyra moved like a dancer in a deadly ballet. Her energy sword cut through 3 pirates before they could react. She fought with grace and precision, each movement perfect and beautiful. But there were too many enemies. Jake's Marines were outnumbered, and more pirates were coming from other parts of the ship. They needed to end this quickly. Grixcon had taken cover behind a shipping container, still holding his hostage. "You cannot win," he screamed. "My ships will come. You will all die." Jake struggled to his feet. His armor was failing, systems shutting down one by one. Soon he would be fighting with just his weapons and his training. But that had been enough before. He looked at Princess Lyra, who was breathing hard but still fighting. Her armor was scorched and cracked, but her silver eyes burned with determination. She caught his gaze and nodded. They both knew what had to be done. "Kyle," Jake shouted, "get the hostages out of here." "What about you?" "We'll hold them off." "Go." Jake's Marines began evacuating the hostages while Jake and Princess Lyra fought a desperate rearguard action. They fell back step by step, making every shot count, buying time for the innocent people to escape. Grixcon appeared from behind his cover, firing wildly with a massive energy cannon. The blast caught Jake in the chest, overloading his armor's last defensive systems. He went down hard, his rifle skittering away across the floor. Princess Lyra screamed and charged the pirate warlord. Her energy sword met his cannon in a shower of sparks. They fought hand to hand, alien princess against pirate lord, grace against brutality. Jake tried to get up, but his armor was completely dead now. The 40 pounds of metal felt like a mountain on his shoulders. He reached for his sidearm, the last weapon he had left. Grixcon knocked Princess Lyra's sword away and grabbed her by the throat. "Now you die, little princess." Jake raised his pistol with both hands. The pirate leader was holding Princess Lyra in front of him as a shield, but Jake could see just enough of his head for a clear shot. 1 bullet left. It had to count. "Hey, Grixcon," Jake called out. The pirate turned, still holding Princess Lyra. "The dead human speaks." "Yeah," Jake said, and pulled the trigger. "But you don't." The bullet caught Grixcon between the eyes. He fell backward, dead, before he hit the floor. Princess Lyra rushed to Jake's side. "Are you all right?" Jake laughed, which hurt his cracked ribs. "Define all right." Around them, the remaining pirates were surrendering to Kyle's Marines. The cargo hold fell silent except for the ship's humming engines. Princess Lyra helped Jake remove his helmet. His face was pale and sweaty, but he was smiling. "Did we get them all?" "Yes," she said. "All the hostages are safe." Jake nodded, then started working on the catches of his chest armor. "Good. That's what matters. What are you doing?" "This armor's done," Jake said, pulling off the heavy plates. "Systems are fried, power's gone. Just dead weight now." As each piece came off, Princess Lyra could see the man beneath more clearly. Jake Morrison, human marine, defender of the innocent. Wounded and tired, but unbroken. "You could have died," she said. "Could have," Jake agreed. "But I didn't, and neither did anyone else who mattered." Princess Lyra looked at the discarded armor, then at Jake. "I understand now what you meant. The armor doesn't make you strong. It just protects the strength you already have." "Took you long enough to figure that out," Jake said with a grin. Over the next hour, as medical teams treated the wounded and security forces secured the pirate ship, Princess Lyra and Jake sat together in the cargo hold. They didn't talk much. Sometimes understanding didn't need words. Captain Sullivan arrived with the cleanup crews. "Morrison, the brass wants to give you and your team medals for this." Jake shrugged. "Just doing our job, Captain." "Is it?" Princess Lyra asked. "Is risking your life for strangers just part of the job?" Jake thought about that. "Maybe. But if it is, I can't think of a better job to have." Later, back on the diplomatic station, Princess Lyra stood before the assembled human and Zilithian delegations. She wore formal robes instead of armor, but Jake could still see the warrior underneath. "Today I learned something about humans," she announced. "I asked one of them what lay beneath his armor, expecting to find weapons or pride. Instead, I found something more dangerous to our enemies and more valuable to our friends. I found courage. She looked directly at Jake, who was sitting in the back row wearing a simple uniform instead of battle gear. Humans do not win battles because they are stronger or better armed, Princess Lyra continued. They win because they carry something that cannot be defeated by weapons or conquered by force. They carry the absolute determination to protect those who cannot protect themselves. Ambassador Carter leaned forward. What are you proposing, Your Highness? A formal alliance between our peoples. Not just trade agreements or peace treaties, but a real partnership. Let us learn from each other. Let human courage teach us about sacrifice, and let Zilithian wisdom teach them about patience. Jake smiled. It had taken a pirate attack and a desperate battle, but maybe the peace talks had succeeded after all. 3 months later, Jake Morrison stood on the deck of the first joint human Zilithian patrol ship. He wore new armor, but it carried the same scratches and dents as the old set. Some things were worth keeping. Princess Lyra approached, wearing the uniform of a Zilithian fleet commander. Any regrets about taking this assignment?